Bryant Johnson with KSPK's Grizzly Connect. We have ASC sophomore Katie Kruger with the ASC track and field team. How many books have you read since Christmas?
4. Yeah.
4. And these aren't like little fluff Charlotte's Web. Is it like the transformation of Latvia's democracy? What are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading a German memoir from World War II. So.
Well, you said Das Boot is your favorite movie, and that's it's a fictional look at World War II, but your interest and I think topics that most athletes really wouldn't be pursuing is something that's always been interesting. Every time I see you at ASC basketball games working the door, you're always reading a fascinating look at history. What's been your interest in some of these subjects, and for how long?
Just like what if I like to read? I read a lot from like World War II up, and then I've kind of been doing some stuff now about like the labor movement, and that's a new interest now too. So I kind of read a lot of more modern books too about like Afghanistan and things like that too. So that's,
I mean, your dad, of course, Kelly Kruger, he has a wide range of friends. You know, one of his best friends from his days at Southwest Minnesota is a well-known literary author who had sent a book on post-World War II Poland, and, was making sure that you had your hands on some of those books. What was one of the early connections at an age for you with maybe some of your dad's friends and his connections that led you down this path of really literary excellence?
Well, it was... Well, Dave Pekaski, it's a cool guy. If I become a professor, I'd like to kind of be like him, because he's done things like travel overseas and teach in Poland and things like that. But it was probably my Uncle Dana too. Was my Aunt Ray and my Uncle Dana. I remember always thinking that they knew a lot about a lot of things. So I kind of started reading at a younger age too with my mom. Obviously she's a teacher, so I started. With some fictional books, and then like one day it was with my history thing. It was like in 6th grade, and I started watching the History Channel. So I started liking it, and then I decided that I talked to my mom, and I'm like, well, maybe we could pick up a couple of books. So I think we just went to Walmart, and then there was like Band of Brothers was there, and I think there were a couple others. So then that kind of started it, and then just haven't stopped. So it's kind of like my aunt and uncle and how they always read. My uncle especially, like, he's reading a lot, and I can talk to him about a bunch of books that he's read. And so I think that it kind of started at an early age, just with meeting other people who read and who have kind of similar interests in me, to me and stuff. So it's like...
It's Katie Kruger with the ASC track and field team. She was a key contributor in the shot put for the 10th straight RMAC championship for ASC last April. What are some of the specific areas of history that really fascinate you, and questions you're asking your uncle and your mom when you're discussing Europe and maybe World War II?
Well, World War II, I don't know. I think what's kind of always interested me about history and about in general, I think kind of is like especially with kind of warfare and stuff, like World War II is like the greatest cataclysmic event in human history. So you kind of, it's a story about the human condition, also about how humanity can inflict as much destruction on itself, and that's something that you don't see, like when you look at nature and things like that. It's something uniquely human. Is that we're willing to to destroy each other and to do things that are kind of unimaginable to us now, but we're really not that. We're a breath away from how we act ourselves. So I think that's always been something that has interested me. That's always something that has always fascinated me. It's kind of the plight of humans too. So like that's why I like reading a lot of personal accounts also, along with just kind of the overarching thing was just like the personal experiences of people that go through all these horrific events and how they persevere, kind of how their lives have been affected, even like in the United States during the war, how much that changed and how that actually led to a lot of changes also socially and things like that. So
Yeah, but you know how a lot of athletes just they let a loss or a poor event demoralize them.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have big picture. I have a big picture as an athlete.
Yeah.
You don't seem to have that problem. You're always pretty level-headed. You're pretty even-keeled every time I've talked to you, even if by your lofty standards you've had a poor event, which we haven't seen a lot of when you're an All-American and when you're leading your team to an RMAC championship and making it to nationals. What tie-in and correlation exists between your love affair with history and recognition of past events to athletics and in these individual events where if you do struggle, it's just kind of like, okay, there's at least there's going to be tomorrow.
Well, I think that is something that it's kind of like you have to have a wider view that there's a lot more going on, and that's why I'm interested in kind of what's foreign affairs and things that are going on, modern affairs that the United States is facing. There's things like that, and then also when you read about previous athletes that had to persevere through so much more, like let's say Jackie Robinson or somebody like that, or you read about that and then you realize that there's this greater, there's more out there than just your one event and how you do it. I mean, it's something that I learned last year is that you can't just continuously think about the last event. Like earlier this year, I had a big throw that I scratched and I would have automatic for nationals right away. And so it would have been, but it's kind of, you have to tell yourself, well, then the next time I have to come back and throw farther. And it's just like you kind of realize that there are people that had to go through more than what you had to go through. So it's kind of like you have to stay humble in that way, and that it's not, who cares that if you mess up on one event during one meet. I mean, you have, I have 6 more meets after this to work on it. So I think that's something that has helped me, at least tying back to history too, is that, I mean, people have just, what they had to persevere through is nothing, like what you had to persevere through is nothing compared to them. So
you're a uniter. I like that. You're trying to bring Jackie Robinson into the fold, a Dodger. As a Giant fan, do you think Giant fans would appreciate you referencing a Dodger in this interview?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I suppose I probably could have. I think in the context of how I brought him up, I think that'll be fine. But I don't want any Giants fans out there to think that I'm somehow trying to bring an olive branch to fellow Dodgers fans, because that's not going to happen anytime soon. So.
Oh, Katie, fantastic response. Big year ahead of you. National championship discussion is always in the air with ASC. You have to be excited for what lies ahead.
Yeah, we're pumped. Just talking to Coach Martin, it's like we want to win nationals this year, and it's something that last year we wanted to, but I think this year, just with how everybody's prepared and how much better everybody's gotten, I look at myself and how much better I've gotten. I think that it's such a real possibility now, even more because of just how everybody's just kind of excelling, and it's right there for us to take. So it's gonna, you just have to keep working hard, and you have to show up at nationals too. You can't kind of go there, you have to try to excel and have your best performance on the biggest, on the widest scale, on the widest stage that you're going to have. So I think that's, I don't know, we're right there, and it's really exciting. And, going back to Mankato, Minnesota, hopefully I have some family there to watch you too. I know my sister's coming up and stuff, which that'll be really neat. And then this summer, especially for the outdoor season, it's right here in Pueblo. So I think that, we kind of look at Pueblo, that's kind of our home turf too, and we kind of want to go in there and dominate and kind of, we want a national championship. So
Hey, Mankato in March. Can't ask for anything more. Best of luck in this track and field season, Katie. Thank you for chatting with us.
Thanks again. Yeah.
It's Katie Kruger with the ASC track and field team.